Good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Lee from GreenBizCheck in Melbourne, and we welcome you to this webinar, our second webinar in this series, in which I'll be discussing a concept that we've called the green lining. We'll look at business activities that can be helped along by adopting an environmental sustainability framework within an organisation, and we're calling this environmental sustainability framework for the purposes of today the green lining, and that this is one way that you can look at what you're needing to achieve in your business now, and dealing with some of these trends in environmental sustainability and these risks potentially to your that many businesses are facing in this environment and growing one's business. So I'm joined also by the General Manager of GreenBizCheck, Carolyn Wall, and she is based up in sunny Rainbow Beach. How are you today, Carolyn?
Very well, thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Not so sunny here in Rainbow Beach today, but let's hope that the sun can poke its way out through the clouds at some point. Anyway, back to you, Justin.
Thanks very much, Carolyn. So let's have a look at what we're going to be talking about at a high level. So again, as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at what is going on in the environmental sustainability space. Why is this important to businesses at the moment? What is it? What are the kind of messages and themes that we're hearing about, and why is this of risk to you? And then we turn the focus onto what you're doing now, and then seeing how we can reconcile your priorities in your business today with some of the issues that you're facing in terms of this environmental sustainability area, and what you can focus on to achieve to address those, and giving you an idea about a good way of doing that. So without any further ado, a quick poll that we'd like to run, and this just will give us a bit of an idea about our attendees and what kind of things and how much they've incorporated environmental sustainability into your businesses and organisations. So I will throw over to Carolyn. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Justin. Yes, here's our first poll for the day. How would you rate your organisation in terms of incorporating environmental sustainability on a scale of 1 to 5? Please select one option here, with number 1 being we have not done anything regarding sustainability, through to number 5, environmental sustainability is core to my business. So please just tick one box which is the most relevant to your company. Just give it a couple of seconds while we wait for the results to come through. Okay, so it looks like we have 18% for rating 1, nothing for rating 2, 36% for rating 3, 27% for rating 4, and 18% for rating 5. Justin?
Thanks very much, Carolyn. Great. So that gives us an idea of everyone's sort of grasp of environmental sustainability with respect to your company or business or organisation. And I can see there that there's a few of you there that have yet to really embark on any actions in this area in your business, but the majority of you are actually doing something. Some saying, yes, we're doing okay. Others are obviously thinking that they have a real core environmental focus in their business, which is fantastic. So great to see a cross-section of attendees in this space. So that's great. So we'll try and focus that in our presentation today. Now, which I might add, we're trying to keep between 20 and 30 minutes. So to keep it quite concise and quite compact, and we'll throw to some questions at the end if we have some time. So, environmental sustainability, green business, eco-oriented or eco-friendly. These are terms, or carbon, low carbon economy. These are terms that are thrown around at the moment, and it's understandable for business owners to be a little confused a little bit fatigued perhaps about what's going on in this area, but obviously you're hearing it a lot still. It's been these have been going on for some time now. This the greening one's business and the like. So it's obviously of importance, but how important is it, and what is making this a little bit cloudy, as I've called it, because I've, I think that there's a bit of a greenish cloud that's sort of hanging around, especially in the political discourse at the moment with the carbon tax and the ETS as well. So let's try and unpack some of that today. And what I have identified is three major trends at the moment in this space that will help us. If we identify it, it will help us navigate our way through a little bit better. So the first is, quite simply, we are in a rising energy cost environment. So irrespective of the carbon tax, emissions trading scheme, direct action, whatever we're going to be ending up with post-election, whether it be August, September, October, November, whatever happens, energy costs are trending up. They've doubled over the past 5 years, as the Central Services Commission notes. So we are only going one way. So what does that mean for you? Well, in terms of the current discourse, carbon is the word that's brandied about a reasonable amount, and I think that the easiest way of actually dealing with this particular aspect in terms of actually getting your mindset right is to not just think of, when you hear the word carbon, is to think of the word energy. And so that means not just electricity and gas, but also fuel and your transport costs there. So I went to a presentation where the former head of the UK Postal Service, the former operations head of the UK Postal Service, was given the mandate some years ago to improve their environmental impact and improve their operational efficiency, and this is the approach that he adopted. Whenever he heard the word carbon, he thought of the word energy, and he equated the two, and had some fantastic results. So I think if it was a suitable mindset for someone at that position and one of the largest postal services in the world, I think it's pretty good for me. So that's one way of actually just helping navigate this rising energy cost environment. The second theme that's occurring in this space is that consumers and your clients and other stakeholders are looking a lot more closely at you and what you are doing with regards to your impact on the environment. And this is borne out by some studies. One recent one conducted by National Geographic. They do an annual, what they call a GreenDex survey, where they look at a population's propensity for green consumption and green inclination. And what they found of that in terms of Australian consumers is that 53% of Australian consumers perceive themselves to be green, i.e. will preference a green product or service over that which is not. So if you're producing a product or service not too dissimilar to someone down the road, for all intents and purposes the consumer or client would see them as equal. The person with or the business with the eco-orientation or a green strategy or framework is more than likely to win that business, all the other things being equal. So that is a trend that we're starting to see as well. In terms of another aspect of that is being looked at is staff and potential staff for businesses. I went to a seminar not too long ago where the head of marketing communications at Adecco for the Asia Pacific region was saying how now Gen Ys are really looking past in traditional industries or mature industries such as the accounting or legal firms or the like, or consulting firms, are looking past what the firm actually does and looking through to what the firm stands for, what they're doing from a CSR or a corporate social responsibility agenda and strategy, and what they stand for, and they are identifying the candidates are identifying the type of businesses that they want to work for. So if you're having said that, though, it will be still be the same if you want to attract good talent, and reasonably so if you wanted to attract new talent. But if you're wanting to really stand out and attract the best new talent, chances are that they will look very favorably on you if you have some sort of green or CSR strategy in your business. So staff and clients are looking more carefully at that. The third major theme in this greenish cloud that I think will help us to understand what to do to deal with this is the demands of it's the specific demands of a particular segments of business. Local, state and federal governments and large corporates and institutions have for some time been requiring companies with whom they engage to demonstrate environmental credentials, especially in tender situations and panel supply arrangements where they're looking to say, well, as part of the other technical requirements of a tender or a panel supply arrangement, you're needing to actually demonstrate your environmental credentials, outline an environmental policy that you might have, and also detail what actions you've taken to date in this space. And so historically, what many companies have been doing is just cobbling or making some stuff up and a few motherhood statements with some environmental policy cobbled together and putting that in, and that doing the job, that's sort of ticking the box. But what we're finding now is that the bar is being raised quite significantly, and these large institutions are saying, well, hang on, no, we want to see some transparency. We want to see that you've actually walking the talk, and we want to see some credentials here. A colleague of mine in GreenBizCheck in Queensland was telling me that one of his contacts has come to him saying, well, look, we need to actually now have ISO 14001 for us to continue to engage with our mining clients, because it is very important to be able to demonstrate that we independently have these credentials. This is the new benchmark. We'll talk about ISO 14001 in a moment as well, just to unpack that a bit more as well. So it's no longer sufficient just to put any old thing in there. You really need to have some transparency and independent validation for what you're doing. So they're the three trends that we've identified to help us understand what's going on in this green space. Let's now look at what you're doing now, because I think this is going to be important to identify how we're going to navigate the cloud, the green cloud, because we want to look at business as usual and try and get that into helping us deal with those risks here. So let's turn to we're going to run another poll here, and it'll ask us, these aren't trick questions, they're pretty straightforward things that I just want to understand what are your main priorities in your business right now. So I will again throw to Carolyn, who will run the poll. Thanks very much, Carolyn.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, so for our next poll, the main priorities in my business are, and you may select as many as are appropriate here: grow revenue, increase margins, reduce overhead, acquire and keep good staff, work on our marketing strategy. So select as many of those which are as appropriate to your business. Just give you a couple of seconds and then we'll have a look at the results. And the results are starting to come through there, Justin. We have 91% for grow revenue, 45% for increase margins, 55% for reduce overhead, 75% for acquire and keep good staff, and 55% for work on our marketing strategy.
Thanks very much, Carolyn. Yes, so look, it's overwhelmingly the driving revenue. Keeping staff is actually an interesting one. That the majority, it's a very important thing for you. But also, there's a broad spread of what priorities in your business, and really, I was looking to see that is the case. Really, to see that there are
everyone really wants to tackle, these are all key priorities in your business, and that to look at one in isolation probably is not going to be a good strategy. So you really want to tackle everything, and ideally, wouldn't it be nice if there was a way that you could actually strategically address all of these areas in your organisation, and also with the view of dealing with some of these other external issues as well that we've talked about in terms of green, the energy, the rising energy space, rising energy cost issues, looking at the consumer and client demands and staff demands, as well as dealing with the large end, the big end of town. So what we contend is that there is a way to strategically address all of these things, or all of these things that are important to your organisation, that are affecting your organisation, and that is by adoption of a sustainability framework, what we've called a green lining to your business. There are not many things that you can do, activities you can adopt that can touch the majority of areas in the important areas in your business with such a complete way than an environmental sustainability framework, a blueprint for being green, an action plan to be environmentally sustainable, to be eco-friendly, whatever you want to call it. But in this form, we're calling it. I'm just using the term green lining for the time being. A sustainability framework. For instance, in terms of growing market share or revenue, going after that, making sure that you're securing that 53% of that market might be just to simply promote how what you're doing as an organisation to be environmentally sustainable, and having some independent verification of that, working with your marketing team to do that, to help drive sales in your sales team. That's one aspect. In terms of attracting great staff to help you on that journey, it would be, again, attracting the best new talent, promoting this story about your environmental sustainability framework. Your green lining will help drive that and help feed the strategy of your people of culture and HR department. From more of an operational point of view, getting more efficient, saving on energy, reducing your energy costs in this rising cost environment, consumption of other office consumables, paper and the like, looking at your IT spend, looking at your waste and recycling. Your operations area is certainly going to benefit from having a sustainability framework to help with their efficiency strategies there. From a risk and compliance point of view, in order to keep your stakeholders happy, especially those with which you have tendered work and you've been engaged under these arrangements, there'll be much engagement between with the risk and compliance aspects with the sustainability framework there. So again, another good reason to adopt. And also from your finance point of view, really putting the numbers around all of this, making sure that you're demonstrating ROI, your return on the investment that you're making in the sustainability framework. It's going to be important, seeing what the profits, the profit improvement and the revenue generating abilities of a sustainability framework. It will very much involve the finance area as well. So I hope you can see that how this can relate to what you're wanting to achieve in your business now, and dealing with some of these other issues that are going on in the environment. It makes sense to look for a way which is going to deal with deal as best as you can in an efficient way, and a green framework, a green lining to your business can help certainly in that. So having said that, how do we go about it? What do we do, and in terms of implementing some sort of green lining to our business? So the two obvious options is whether you do it yourself or you look to get some people in to help you to outsource this. Now, DIY. We'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But in terms of outsourcing, as with many aspects in terms of a business's dealings and operations and activities, it is possible to outsource a corporate sustainability framework, or to have someone help you set one up, help someone manage, have someone help you manage this framework for you. And for a time and resource poor business owner, decision maker, or the like, it is possible to do so. Apart from the 20-30 minutes you're giving up here, I imagine you're maxed out in terms of time, and you've got your investment priorities in your business. It makes perfect sense actually to get some help to do it. But having said that, let's look at all the options. Let's come back to looking at DIY, a DIY framework. There is plenty of information out there to help you do that. Whether it be government release information, the whole energy efficiency information grant program, of which there are a number of grantees around the country that are providing some great information out there. There's our website at GreenBizCheck. We've got a lot of free resources here. We've got some top 10 tips and I'd like to help you get started on that journey if you have the time and to do it on your own. So there's a lot of information out there to help you on that journey. Now, the other three that I'm going to talk about briefly here are the outsourced options. So getting in some third-party consultants. Now here there are quite a number of firms that can help you here to do that, and so they'll come in and customize, tailor a program, a framework for your business, and help you implement and take action in this area. So if that's certainly one path to go down. The next is more of an action-oriented framework, whereby now GreenBizCheck does fall into this category, whereby you adopt a particular framework within your business and choose some action items within that framework which resonates, implement, improve what you can, and then get some, ideally, as is the case with GreenBizCheck, get some independent verification of your efforts to date, and promote yourself as a green orientated company. So that is a much more action-oriented, and it is in many ways something that can be quite affordable and cost-effective from the point of view of getting something off the shelf, but still can be customized rather than having something built from the ground up, which can be quite resource-intensive. So that's your third option, and the second of the outsourced options. And the final thing that we're going to talk that's available to you as an option is really combines actually the last two, is then building this framework and then having this formally incorporated into an ISO framework. And the International Environmental Management System Standard, ISO 14001. If you're doing a lot of business with international companies, or and are just wanting to have the most recognized set of certifications that you can, then this is the ISO 14001. The Environmental Management System ISO is still the leading one. Yes, there are some others that are coming out, the 50001, which is the energy management one, and some others that are ISO, but this is currently the most recognized, so the ISO. So extending some of the work of the third-party consultants or action-oriented framework into an ISO is your other option there. So that's the way to take action. But where do we start? Irrespective of what you've decided to do, it is more than likely, and certainly where we start at GreenBizCheck, to look at what you're doing in your business day-to-day operationally. So what we're looking at here is where can you get the best and the quickest, the best bang for your buck, really. Where am I spending the most money, or where is my greatest environmental impact? Where can I actually get some return quickly? And so what we've included here is a breakdown of the average office's energy consumption. So the average office, what they use in terms of energy. Now here you can see cooling and heating about a third, lighting about a quarter, IT about a fifth of your energy costs. So the area, it's clear that the areas to focus on revolve around those three. Now let's take cooling and heating just for a moment. Now many of you would not be able to have a real direct control of that if you're operating, say if you're operating in a leased premises, and you might not control the climate settings or the thermostat. But if you can, and we'd encourage you to explore this even further, just making sure that you're able to tweak the settings depending on the seasons. So rather than having a blanket 22 degrees Celsius all the way through 365 days of the year, making sure that in winter you have you set something to say 20 degrees rather than the 22. There's no need to be able to walk around in shorts and a t-shirt around in the heart of winter around your office. At the other end of the spectrum, during summer when it's hot, you can afford to push the thermostat up 24, 25, 26, because really what you're trying to do is just take the edge off and take the humidity off in many respects compared to the outside temperature and conditions there. So, but for every degree change, you can save between 10 and 15% of your actual energy and your heating and cooling energy component. So that's a very quick, high-value, low-cost way of doing things if you can control it. Now, what with lighting and IT, what I just want to say is that we're intending on running in this webinar series, bringing in some specialists to help us bring some more detailed information to you about what you can do in each of these spaces, lighting and IT in particular. So just to talk briefly about lighting for the moment, looking at lowering your wattage, switch-off campaigns. Obviously, the most efficient, energy-efficient light is that which is switched off. So if you can bring in some switch-off campaigns and motion sensors in low volume, in low traffic areas such as toilets, hallways and the like, storerooms, meeting rooms in particular is one to look at. They're the kind of things you should be looking at there. With IT, again, when we bring in some people to help us talk about that, some specialists in the area, looking at paper reduction strategies and data management is important. Backups, addressing some concerns around backups. In fact, going to more energy efficient measures and going to virtualizing the office can actually improve some of those, improve operational risk in that area as well. So looking at whole of life usage of equipment, you don't necessarily need to get the most whiz-bang set of desktops or PCs or laptops or what have you. You don't. If you can certainly look at some far more cost-effective options which have a lower impact on the environment. So reconditioned or just getting an extra bit of a couple of years out of your existing plant is some of the other options to use. So they're the kinds of themes that you should be looking at, lighting and IT, also cooling and heating. And hopefully over the next few months, over our next series of webinars, we're going to have some specialists come in and talk to you more about that. So the thing is here, you can see some of the things we're looking at is very much business as usual, things that you're going to be looking at in the business, what you're doing now, getting more efficient. But you can see, but by incorporating that, it's actually feeding into this continuum of business as usual, business efficient, and is ultimately business as green. So to do these, so to implement this green lining, to implement this framework, we're actually partaking in this continuum of business as usual, business as efficient, business as green, to help drive some of the things that are important in your business from a day-to-day point of view, and address some of the issues that are going on in the external environment with regards to the greenish cloud. You're covering a lot of territory by implementing a green framework and enhancing what you do in your business from a day-to-day point of view, and also from and also for the future. Now, just to sort of start finishing up on the webinar today, does this actually work? Now, we have lots of anecdotal evidence, lots of case studies to show what the financial and what the financial benefits are for businesses to implement an environmental sustainability framework. We've got many case studies of that. What we actually also have found is that there is some independent research recently that has come about whereby they've looked at, some independent researchers have looked at companies that have implemented, why they've implemented, and what some of the benefits are, and they've got some very compelling results. And again, as a part of our series of webinars, we will have we will look to be having some specialists come in and talk to you about some of that research and some of the findings from that, because I think that's very instructive as to where environmental sustainability should be going, needs to be going, and is going in relation to driving growth within companies and organisations. So this is something hopefully for the future that we'll talk a bit more about. And so that brings us to the end of today's webinar. So to sum up, I hope we've demonstrated how navigating the greenish cloud in terms of rising energy costs, in terms of the increasing preferences of consumers and other businesses are starting to this is the environment that is operating, but it can be dealt with in a way which also adds value to the priorities that are currently going on in your business, and by implementing, by putting a green lining around your business, you can help achieve some of these, address some of the risks that you're facing from environmental sustainability point of view, and driving business as usual. So I hope this has been an informative webinar for you. We're going to throw open to some questions, and I'll have Carolyn look at those questions and as they come through. So please get on the chat box there on your GoToWebinar applet there, and tap away. Love to hear from you and see and engage with you, and hopefully answer all your questions today. And if not, you're most welcome to contact me on my email address, and find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find there, Justin Lee. I think I come up pretty high up, if not number one. If you just type Justin Lee GreenBizCheck, I'll definitely come up there. So by all means, please hunt us down, and we'd love to help you in any way on your environmental sustainability journey. So Carolyn, what kind of questions have we got coming through? Have we got any?